Hello everyone and welcome to the release date of Wraith, the Oblivion Afterlife, at least the very first part of the release. Today the game is releasing on Oculus Rift and Oculus Quest, and it is releasing in exactly 2 hours from now on in the European time. We are right now at 5 p.m. Central European time, and at 7 p.m. it is going to have its release. So I think that applies worldwide actually. So in 2 hours we're going to have the very first VR game from World of Darkness, which we are super excited about, and also the game which already had a very good impressions from both influencers and reviewers. We have some of the quotes in here. I gathered some of the assets. I also gathered a lot of videos from Fast Travel Games recently, and also a lot of nice trivia and information for you guys to basically have a little rave celebration day, because I think rave in general as a setting deserves a lot of celebration and a lot more attention than we are usually giving here to different settings. As for now, of course, Vampire the Masquerade is very much dominating the fandom with all of the content that we are creating for it, but we believe very strongly that Wraith comes very well in pair with Vampire, and there are also a lot of potential for crossovers there, and we introduced some of the ways to cross over the two systems with Clothes of the Blood Gods and the recent addition to that, Children of the Blood. So Onyx Path has really been helpful with that, to create those potential situations in which your vampires can meet wraiths in the game. So we're going to also talk about that and various different ways you can incorporate wraiths in your campaigns. And of course we're going to dwell deeper into Afterlife and answer all the questions we have, if we have the answers so far about the Afterlife, live on the stream. So I guess we're going to actually start with one of the videos that I have prepared for you today, and that is the brand new trailer for Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife. I think it's one of my favorites so far. There's been a lot of trailers, sneak peeks, teasers for Afterlife so far. You've seen most of them in the previous What News shows, but this one is brand new and it's sweet. So, of course, content warnings, there's going to be a lot of creepy stuff today, so if you are not willing to see these dudes, I guess it's a little bit too late, oh no. But yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a creepy content here in the trailer and in the other videos I will share, so yeah, beware. Let's check it out.
What is this place? What's the matter? Don't you recognize yourself? There was a seance of sorts, but here we are, dead. You're different now. Your senses are more refined, sharper. What is dying good for if you don't adapt to it? Is that blood? Did you murder dear Rachel? The house won't let us leave. There has to be a way out somewhere. I've spent it all. You know how the song goes, right? Ed is dead. Welcome to the afterlife.
I guess Ed is dead after all. And we have Justin Achille with us in chat here, who is just typing some little reactions and comments. And he said one thing that he said on the meeting we had today, just like right before the show, and that is that vampires create a lot of wraiths. We were talking about how vampire and wraith comes together very well in a lot of scenarios, and this quote is very, very nice, because it it kind of like, I never thought about it before, but now when you think about it, every time you play Vampire the Masquerade, there are going to be casualties, and very often these casualties are going to be still very much connected with this world, with some unfinished business to uncover. And yeah, that's a very good introduction to create some wraiths. So I am just right now thinking very much strongly about the potential scenario in which a Hecata kindred in the coterie is making people, the rest of the coterie, aware about how many wraiths they have left on their way before. I think that's one of the very good potential scenarios of how this can be made. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this trailer. It's the very new one that incorporates some of the quotes that we had already from some media outlets about this game. I am just extremely happy with what the reception is for the game so far, even though the game is not out yet. But what was out was the beginning of the game. So this was available for selected influencers and the press, and a lot of people were able to check out this beginning of Afterlife already. And I think it not only provided a lot of very useful feedback for the developers, but also gave you guys a lot of the introductory 101 of what this game is going to be and what can you expect from playing Wraith. There's plenty of articles online if you want to check out the very first gameplay tidbits and basically mostly spoilery, but some of them are non-spoilery articles about the very beginning of the game. Then there's a lot of them online. There's also plenty of buzz going around the VR sphere about this game in particular, mostly because as much as horror genre is existent in the VR, I think Wraith is bringing a little bit more of a new quality to that. Of course, I don't want to roast any other VR games in here, but when I was playing Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, I really felt, although it's still the VR sets are still not exactly the same graphically as the PC games, for example, are. It felt very realistic. In a lot of points, it felt very much close to real life, which of course is a very spooky way to go around in VR, especially when you were a ghost and you were chased by specters. It's pretty bad. But there's a lot of very realistic aspects of Wraith when you go into the afterlife. The fact that you can see your own hands, you can manipulate your own hands, you can move your fingers using the Oculus controllers, and you can grip things. I am pretty much new to VR. I haven't done much VR in the past, especially not on the Oculus Quest 2, but it felt very much like I was gripping real objects when I was trying to just pick up some bottles or rocks at the very beginning of the game, throw some stuff around. It felt not like I was using a controller or a mouse or a keyboard, but like I was using my own hands, which is very creepy because it adds to the whole creepiness of the fact that you are in this world. Now, of course, the game fortunately doesn't involve many jump scares. So if you are more of a person who doesn't like to be scared like this with some sudden sounds and things popping up in your face, then fortunately Afterlife doesn't have much, if any, of that really. It mostly builds up the horror in a similar way that Alien did or Silent Hill does. There's more of a psychological thing in there. There are some sounds going on, and of course later on there are also monsters like this wonderful person here that did scare plenty of influencers already. There's a lot of videos of people running away from her. Yeah, there's this is pretty much of a horror experience without that additional, trying to push things in your face and tries to push the face huggers suddenly out of a screen. I've played plenty of horror games and I always feel a little bit jittery around the ones that bring me jump scares. So I was glad that this game didn't have any of them. Now, when it comes to the accessibility, I keep on repeating a lot of that during the previous streams of Wraith, but I think it's a very important topic to talk about. Accessibility, especially for me, is extremely important in this case and in any case, but here I personally do experience a lot of the VR sickness when I play VR games, and in general I am very much of not used to being in the virtual environment, and when the virtual environment is realistic, risk, it is natural that this is going to be even worse. Because if the environment is something that your brain knows that this is not real, it's much easier for your brain to adjust than to a semi-real world in which you walk, but your real body doesn't walk. So this is, of course, a struggle for a lot of people, but fortunately, Fast Travel Games really made sure there's a lot of accessibility options appearing there. In the worst cases of VR sickness, when I just really, I played the game for a long time and I was, really making my brain go wild, I could always switch to teleportation mode, where I could just move around, not using my sticks, but using the little beacon that was going around me, and this way I could avoid all of the motion sickness I had from this game. So it's really, I really encourage people who are going to start their VR journey with this game, because I've heard there are a lot of people who want to get their VR set to play Afterlife and try to get in with Wraith. To explore the accessibility options. Don't go all in at the very beginning with the maxed settings and no accessibility options on, because they don't really ruin your experience in any way. They just add a little vignette around the screen. They make sure that your movement is a little bit less super smooth, which doesn't really change much when you play the game, but it really helps your brain. So if you have VR sickness, explore the accessibility options in this game, because there are plenty and they really help out. The game releases today for Oculus on the May 25th for Steam VR, and it's going to release this year, 2021, for PlayStation VR as well. So this month we have Oculus Rift and Quest, next month we have Steam, and later on we have PlayStation VR as well. Now, one more thing that the developers shared throughout the past week is a little bit of a countdown and also a little secret that we do not really know the full answer to just yet. But for those of you who haven't seen that, let's see how exactly the countdown looked like and what is hiding in there. Check it out.
There's something you need to understand. Something important.
Someone, please, make it stop.
Where are you? Come find me, Ed.
Please, no.
Please, you don't need to do this.
Please, just let me rest.
God, help me! Someone help me!
And this question is something that we will find the answer to today, after the game is going to release. So far, everyone that played the game and the journalists, the influencers, and people who saw the very introductory chapters of the game were able to get to that place, but never beyond it. And we don't know what exactly lies behind the bomb shelter doors, but we're going to find out today. And I am already spooked, because so far, even above the bomb shelter door, the situation doesn't look look very great, and the game is already very scary, with a lot of things there that you really don't want to meet. So what lies below is probably even worse. From what we know from fast travel games, the game has the pacing of difficulty, which is just going to get higher and higher the deeper into the game we go. The beginning of the game didn't pose that much of the troubles to many people playing it. There was no blockers, no moments when people were just saying that particular monster is just too hard to pass and too hard to defeat in any way. It's not really about defeating, it's just about running away and trying to sneak around them. But there weren't any difficult moments at the beginning of the game. We might find them later on. That's what we are readying for, that the next monsters which we are going to meet deep down below are going to be scarier. And additionally, on top of that, all of the creatures, the monsters, the specters that you meet in the game and that scare you, everything that scares you in this game is not just a monster, a default monster which is attacking you out of nowhere, but they all have a story. They are all somehow connected to the game story, and they all have the background that by playing the game you will discover, and you will get to know why exactly are they there and who exactly they represent. So that's a pretty interesting take. I think it's going to be interesting to see what lies down there and what are going to be the next monsters which we are going to find. But I'm going to very quickly check out, because I've seen there were some questions that were asked about the game. If you guys have any, post them, and I'll be hoping to reply to as many of them as I can. There are a lot of people saying that they do want to either start a Wraith Chronicle or incorporate Wraiths in their chronicles, which I will talk about today, because I have some fun stuff prepared. But yeah, Wraith, currently, by the way, for those of you guys who are interested in the TTRPG system, Wraith the Oblivion, we don't have the 5th edition for Wraith the Oblivion as for now, but we really recommend to check out Wraith the Oblivion 20th Anniversary Edition. We all love this book. It's a really, really solid introduction to the world of Wraith, or not even the introduction, but basically a full package which you can explore and play at your table. So this is a book which we really, really recommend. There are no generic monsters in the world of darkness. Everyone is a monster because of something, whether being chosen by a sire, unfinished business after death, etc. Justin, as usual, with the great words in the chat, and that's true. Even when you play Hunter, for example, right? When you play a group of people who is meant to take down some kind of a monster, you may be used from some other settings, some other pop culture products, that very often the monsters are just monsters. There's no depth to it. We all in our team, we really like the Witcher setting, for example, because in Witcher, when Geralt attacks various monsters, they all have some kind of a backstory behind them, and some of them are even, you can converse with them, you can have some kind of a deeper thoughts about why exactly are you killing them. Maybe they shouldn't be killed, maybe they represent something. In World of Darkness it's a little bit different, of course, because there are no good entities in the World of Darkness. Ultimately, the wraiths and vampires and even hunters all have their darker side. And we are very happy to explore this darker side in the World of Darkness, and as players and as storytellers, because that's what makes the whole world super enticing. So we are definitely looking forward on how, we partially know already, of course, as a brand team, but we are looking forward to how you guys are going to, what you're going to think about the monsters, the specters, which are going to be introduced in Wraith the Oblivion, because that's also going to be interesting. And of course, exploring the backstory of the main character, the protagonist, Ed Miller. Is he a good guy? Is he ultimately, the perfect protagonist? What is his backstory? That's also something that you're going to uncover yourself. And we are very much looking forward to see what you're going to think about Ed and all the other characters you meet in the game. People in the chat are saying that they've been using Wraiths in V5 for over a year. All my players are terrified every time one shows up. That's great. One day we will get changelings in V5, I hope. Oh, I hope so as well. Of course, we are not talking about changeling much yet because, as you of course can see, we have a lot of other products to talk about right now. But I really hope that one day I will come here to the chat and bring you some changeling news. That will be a very nice day. Let me check out very quickly for other questions. Oh, Onyx Path, I'm going to enable the links for you. Actually, I'm going to add you a forever permit to oh, can I do it? There we go. I can do it now for sure. So you can post the links. I'm also going to post the link down on below the YouTube video to Wraith the Oblivion 20th Anniversary Edition, as we don't have the 5th edition for Wraith yet, and we all really enjoy Wraith the Oblivion, the 20th Anniversary Edition. I think it's a very solid core book to start your TTRPG journey with role-playing. I will be linking down below YouTube video as well. And Onyx Path has just linked it in the chat. Speaking of Onyx Path, we're going to talk a little bit more about playing your Vampire the Masquerade Chronicles and using wraiths in them. And I'm going to even do a little swap here up on the screen and also tell you a little bit about the activities we were doing this week around Wraith. So if you will go to our Instagram, which is Instagram.com/Vampire the Masquerade, you will see some of the already posted visuals with the descriptions that give people some ideas of how to use wraiths in their Vampire the Masquerade systems. And in our World of Darkness Stories project, both on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr, we are posting the stories about Wraith. So basically, stories set in the Wraith setting, and they are meant to give you a little bit of a background on how wraiths exactly work, because I understand that a lot of people here are familiar mostly with Vampire the Masquerade, and if you haven't checked Wraith before, then I think these are a very good introductory stories to get you a little bit in the mood of Wraith, which is a very sad system. I like the sadness of it, of the being a ghost, basically, being a wraith, trying to get together after your own death, and not being that much focused on drinking blood as you would be as a vampire, and then still walking this world, but having this connection with the real world a little bit more severed. And I think that's what makes Wraith so sad in one side, but also very interesting. So when it comes to the usage of wraiths in Vampire the Masquerade V5 setting, so far I've seen from a lot of the campaigns, I've seen the chronicles, the people role-playing online, some of the official chronicles as well, and various ways of people playing with them. I've seen a lot of the attempts to either hint at the world of the Wraith or actually use wraiths in the chronicles. And one of the most common ways I've observed is the flaw, which is called the Haunted Haven, the Haven Haunted Flaw. It's one of the flaws which you can take just based on the basic Vampire the Masquerade V5 core book, and it seems like a very enticing flaw to take, because it's not like it affects you all the time. It's not like you will go outside, you will get the Elysium, and your flaw is still going to affect you. Technically, of course, storytellers are going to find out very creative ways to make your life more miserable with this flaw. But this flaw basically causes your personal haven to be haunted in some way. And it doesn't have to be a wraith. It can be some kind of a magical object that just is in your haven. You can't get rid of it, and it's weird. You don't fully understand it. But wraith is a way that I've seen a lot of people using this particular flaw in their chronicles to have a ghostly appearance in their own haven that is pestering them, that is telling them things, and that is very much not a helping spirit. It's not something that you can use to get information from or to get better in the vampiric society. it's a nuisance, and it's not a very much high dotted flow, so it shouldn't be something that is really affecting your daily unlife in a very tragic manner, but it is a nuisance. So Haunted Haven is, I think, the most common way that people are using the flaw. But with the coming of Coats of the Bloodgods and Children of the Blood, we had a lot of more ways of trying to use wraiths in the world of the undead. And of course, Clan Hecata here comes in the first place as the clan that we most recommend to pick if you want to bring a little bit more of the ghostly appearances in your games. But of course, other clans can also learn Oblivion. La Sombra have Oblivion by default, and they can also use the Oblivion powers and ceremonies even that are added to Coats of the Bloodgods in order to somehow interact with the spirits in various ways. So one of the ways that one day I'll get Haunted Flaw on my character. Galador Fury, didn't you actually have Haunted Flaw on your character? Because I'm just checking people writing in the chat, but people are writing, and Jason Achille is saying in the chat that he cannot say too much right now, but the Orpheus group is doing things. I'm just going to say it out loud so everyone hears. Orpheus group is doing things. All right, so so to give you guys some examples of ways to actually interact with the wraiths in the game, I'm going to go very quickly through, I think, one of the most interesting powers that you can have, wraith-related powers from Coats of the Bloodgods. And one of them is the Binding Feta. And it's the one that I want to talk in particular because it also explains one of the aspects of Wraith the Oblivion, which is also present in Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, and that is Feta and Fetters in general. So Fetters are either objects or places or even people that wraiths are connected to. These are the little sources of their passions, the things that they were very much connected to in their real life, and then after they pass the shroud, they are tied to these fetas in some way. So with Binding Fetter, which is just a level 1 Oblivion ability, this is something that you can get on character creation, you are able to close your eyes, and then you open the eyes again, and you, as a vampire, you see the fetters around you. So you see a dual reflection of your surroundings, and you can identify objects or locations important to ghosts. This is super useful for those of Oblivion players. I wanted to say Hecata players because this is most often employed by Hecatas, but there is going to be a lot of other clans which, of course, can use the Oblivion powers. And if you find the fetter, it's just way easier to locate the wraith, to either destroy the feta, to have something to control the wraith with. So the fetters are very important if you want to have some connection to this world behind the shroud and to entities which exist beyond it. So just level 1 allows you to see them and allows you to see what auras are there emanating, and it's also free. It doesn't cost any blood. So it's a little bit like heightened senses with Auspex, but it's much more connected with the afterlife. Feta cheese, people are saying in the chat. Yes, it's you can see a lot of feta cheese with the Binding Feta. Now, of course, seeing is just one thing. What happens later on is, of course, the various Oblivion powers allow you to summon the spirits. They also allow you to even walk into the lands of shadows, the Shadowlands, and pass the shroud yourself, which is a very high level Oblivion power. This is something that is not going to be used very often in V5 campaigns, but I keep on saying campaigns, although I should say chronicles. I know that, but it's not going to be used commonly in the chronicles. But once you pass to the Shadowlands and once your coterie finds their way there, you're going to find some issues. One of the issues is the fact that there's no blood in the Shadowlands. And of course, vampires need to eat blood. And you can partially sate this hunger by having one of the... I believe it was a lore sheet... No, that was also... oh yeah, of course. It was the level 3 Oblivion power available in Cult of the Blood Gods, which is called Passion Feast. And with Passion Feast, a vampire can technically feed on the passions of the Wraith, but it's not going to sustain them for long. It's something that allows you to sustain yourself in the Shadowlands if you want to bring your coterie to this completely unreal world of the shadows, ghosts, wraiths, and everything that happens in the afterlife. Then this is an ability which is extremely useful, for example, for your NPCs that are going to walk through the Shadowlands, or one of your characters which is going to be sent there, but it doesn't sustain you for long. It's going to be only a temporary way for your vampire to sate their hunger and enable them to walk through the Shadowlands a little bit longer. So yeah. I can imagine a city setite trying to sell a trip to the Shadowlands as a detox cure for targeters. That's a wonderful idea from a chat. I love it. And I feel like this might be a very good idea to as a Hecata player or as an Oblivion wielder, to try to sell the idea of a trip to Shadowlands as a remedy to vampires' problems. And the kindred problems may be many. A lot of kindreds suffer through the loss of those that passed away, of their touchstones that died, for example, or people that they have outdid because of the years passing. You get very old, your mortal connections, your family just dies, they disappear, and you want to know what's behind the shroud. This is it's interesting for every entity in the world, and not only for vampires. And the vampires in particular might be interesting to see what is behind the shroud, as they often do not know what is going to happen to them after they die and after they meet their final death. So whatever is out there is definitely enticing. And I think it's a very good idea to try to lure vampires in there by the promise of finding the answers to their questions. And of course, such service would be extremely expensive, and the Hecata vampire who is providing such services to the afterlife, to the daily trip, nightly trip to the afterlife, would collect a very high price for that. But I can imagine that this might be a very good way of unliving plenty of Hecata. Considering the emotional essence of the Wraith is not as potent as the living blood. Exactly. Vampires, by default, need blood to exist. And passions might be something that they can feed on temporarily, but it's not going to feed them for long. Your hunger is going to go back to its original number after a while. So it might prolong your visit in the afterlife, but it's not going to make it forever. Yeah, that's some. But I also want to jump a little bit for a little moment to Children of the Blood, which is currently, I believe, released for the Kickstarter backers, while it is going to soon release to everyone through DriveThruRPG. And it's one of the stretch goals for Cult of the Blood Gods, and it's basically a collection of additional characters, lore sheets, and merits which you can use based on the Cult of the Blood Gods supplement, which is just awesome. There's a lot of additional information in there, and there is one lore sheet in particular I want to go through, which is very much Wraith related, and that is the Bloodline, which is called Little Siblings. So this is only for Hecata players. So those of you who are playing different clans and those of you who are not planning on making Hecata, unfortunately these powers are going to be taken away from you. It's only for the Giovannis and the like, of course. They have the strongest connection to the underworld per se, and to the afterlife, and to the wraiths and specters and all of that stuff. So with them it is much easier to get all of that a connection. And there are 5 lore sheet powers, merits, which you can take from 1 dot to 5, I believe. And the very first one allows you to... the first one is interesting because it doesn't really allow you to do anything in particular in consideration with the shroud. It doesn't help you interact with it, but you do have experience commanding wraiths, and the experience taught you that even the kindred will eventually cross the shroud, and this certainly gives you peace. So any attempts to intimidate or manipulate your aggressors will always suffer from a 1 die penalty, because you've seen what's behind the shroud. You know that you one day are going to go there. It's a little bit like an agreement with the fact that you one day will meet your final death, and that's okay, because everyone does. And with that, your aggressors are going to have a little bit less impact on you if they try to intimidate or manipulate you. But later on, it gets more interesting and more actually interactive with the wraiths themselves. So ghostly dominance allows you to brook no tolerance for the pleas and the threats of the intangible dead. They are your tools. This is so Hecata. I love this one. If they don't see it that way, you will remind them. When you damage a wraith's feta, loved ones, or ectoplasm form, you receive 3 bonus dice to any rolls to command them. It's great. So again, just level 1 power allows you to see the fetters around you, and this is already a very big plus and very good information for vampires to have. You see a feta, you approach it, you damage it, and any wraiths that are bound to this particular fetter, you will be able to control them and command them much easier, which for Hecata players is just great, because just like La Sombra players manipulate the shadows, and this is something that we know them from, that they can use the shadows to hurt others and to allow them to easier manipulate the world and people around them. I think Hecata can very similarly talk about the wraiths. They use the wraiths to their own gain, and this is going to allow you to do it much, much easier. So that's a very, very good power to have, and it's just level 2 lore sheet, so it's very easy to take in your merits. And now we have, I think the one that was the most hardcore from this one was the Purge, which is the top level little siblings Hecata power, which allows you to have, you shred corpuses, which is the ethereal body of the wraith. Corpus is actually also a thing in the Afterlife. This is your health. You measure your health in the corpus, and you damage your corpus in certain ways. And Purge allows you as a vampire to shred corpuses with ease, and any attack made on a ghost always causes aggravated health damage, even outside of the Shadowlands. You're also able to, this is interesting, you're able to strike them when they are intangible, which is also a very creepy power. You're able to really destroy them. So imagine here a Hecata player who, of course, invested all of their dots in that particular lore sheet, and they start the game as the chronicle, as those manipulators of the specters, of the wraiths, and they move around the world trying to find the fetters from which they can find the wraiths. They can command them by destroying the fetters and damaging them, and if the wraith is trying to get outside of their control, they can with ease destroy that thing and move on to the other. It's a pretty creepy way of imagining the Hecata vampire. I think it's a good idea for a Humanity 5 or 4 Hecata, but it's certainly a way to play, and maybe creating an antagonist in your game like this might be very interesting. I can only imagine a coterie that is still trying to with a huge difficulty manipulate themselves through the world of darkness and learn all the basics about the Camarilla, Elysium, Anarchs, all of this stuff that they don't really understand. But then there's this nemesis in the city which is sending the wraiths to destroy things and to cause havoc, and you're tasked with trying to stop them. I think that's a pretty good pretty good start for the campaign. So yeah, I hope that this gave you some of the inspiration to incorporate wraiths in your campaigns. Of course, they can be just singular meetings. You don't have to exactly build your whole chronicle based on these, although it's very interesting. And if you are interested in seeing more wraiths in the play, you might give me examples in the chat as well, guys, if you remember any V5 Chronicles which incorporated these themes. I know for sure that Stitch of Fate has one character who has a haunted haven. I hope this is not too much of a spoiler, but I remember that from the campaign I was listening to. And I remember, of course, Red Moon Role Playing has the family, which is very much consistent of Clan Hecata members and the various different things that they're doing, the shenanigans of the Hecata. A very good podcast campaign that I was listening to. And people are writing in the chat that Hecata only would be super fun to run as well. Yes, I think that Hecata only games are something that we definitely look forward to see. The family is one of them. So Red Moon Role Playing had the family, which is very much Hecata focused, but you can definitely try to run your own Hecata chronicle. The thing about Hecata, when you get into Cult of the Blood Gods, when you get through the book, you realize that they have a lot going on themselves. And you can totally play a Hecata character that is taken away from all of this family mess, from all of this stuff going around with their clan members and the various difficulties that they're going through in the modern ages by trying to work with each other because they have to. You don't have to bother with that as a Hecata player. You can join some other culture and completely make your character based on the fact that you are not really connected with the family or anything like that. Your character is a Hecata investigator, and you are starting from the same point as other people in your coterie. You don't know your sire. You don't really know what's going on with this whole family business. You are just a vampire trying to make ends. And that's totally fine, but you can totally make a vampire who is a part of the existing bloodline and has a bloodline lore sheet from the either Children of the Blood or Cult of the Blood Gods, is very much ingrained in this Hecata drama. And with that, there's a lot of potential to make that a focal point of the campaign and the chronicle. So talk to your storyteller, try to find out the best way for you. Naturally, if you have a Hecata character with a lot of this background that is just a part of the existing coterie of kindred not connected to that particular issues that you are having. This might take some either trimming down to make sure that you are not completely dominating the chronicle with your drama. But Hecata only chronicle is absolutely a way to explore the depths of the drama around the clan Hecata, to explore the ceremonies, to explore the cults as well, and to try to get deeper into all of the things that Hecata is about. So I think there are both ways of doing that. And in general, one clan coteries are a very interesting thing to explore. Even if you imagine a Tremere-only coterie that is forced to work together because of some common goal or a common enemy that they're trying to fight against. And even if they're completely different, you have a Karna, you have a Goratrix, and you have Ipsissimus Tremere trying to work together in one group. I think it's also a super interesting way to play the game. You don't have to exactly focus your coterie on trying to be different and fill in different gaps, because fortunately it's not like a fantasy party where you have to have a warrior, a ranger, a healer, and a tank, right? It's completely different, and you can have still players and characters that have kind of similar background abilities, but depending on the roles, depending on what approach they have, depending on their convictions, which really change a lot, you might see different outcomes. So, yes, I didn't say Ipsy Dipsy, I said Ipsissimus. You know, this is the official World of Darkness stream. I shouldn't say Ipsy Dipsy here, but I just said it now. Yeah, so the coterie shares the verbs in such a chronicle. Exactly, Justin. Yes. So this is really, I think it's a really fun way to explore the like way of crafting your chronicles. They can be totally surrounding one particular clan and played only by a single clan members. I think a Finnblood only coterie is also very interesting, and imagining, you know, Finnblood only coterie that somehow gets taught the basic powers of Oblivion and sees the Fetters, for example. So you have Finnbloods that are able to get this first level power from the Oblivion tree and see the Fetters around them. Super interesting start of some kind of a ghost story which you can explore with your vampire mates. No, I want to roleplay so badly as a Finnblood who see Fetters. No. But anyway, we went very deep into vampire, and of course this is a celebration of Wraith, which I think they're very much connected, and there's a lot of connections in there. And I hope I inspired you to use more Wraiths in your chronicles as you will be playing Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife and get a little bit deeper into that world, and the game will inspire you towards that as well. Wraith itself is going to release in 1 hour 10 minutes from now on Oculus Rift and Quest, and we are awaiting your opinions. Let us know. We are on discord.gg/World of Darkness. There is a channel called Wraith WTO Afterlife, and Francesca from Fast Travel Games, who is their community manager, she's there to answer your questions, and she will be there gathering your feedback. They've been really doing tons of wonderful work with this game, and we cannot wait for you to see the full amount of that. And on top of this, one small tidbit, great thing that's happened today, made me super happy. For those of you who heard about Carnage, I've just seen before the stream today that he has tweeted about Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, that this is going to be one of the first VR games he's going to play in his new VR room. So I cannot wait to see Koch playing Wraith. I think he's going to do a marvelous job at it. And actually, I don't remember Koch playing a horror game before. I don't think I've seen him. He's a big streamer, big influencer who is a great RPG player. He plays a lot of role-playing games, and I don't think I've seen him playing a horror game before. So this is going to be super exciting. And yeah, Fast Travel Games is here in chat, so that's Francesca, and she's going to be there on our Discord as well, answering all of your questions. Can't wait to see how the Sabbats are brought forward. Oh, we cannot wait to show you. We are really doing a very good progress on Sabbat and everything connected. Oh my god, I cannot wait to share with you the artwork for the Sabbat that was done, and it's just so gorgeous. I think visually it might be one of my favorite V5 books so far. It's so pretty. I don't know if I can say that. I hope I can say that. It's just so gorgeous. There's a lot of wonderful artwork in this book, and I'm not saying that because there's just very tiny amount of my artwork there, which is non-comparable to all the other stuff that is in this book. But yeah, I cannot wait to share some nice stuff with you guys in the future. So yes, Nox Eternus is desperately refreshing his Oculus app, waiting for the game to be buyable. The game is going to be buyable in 1 hour 10 minutes, so you don't have to refresh yet. You can still wait for 70 minutes from now on, and then the game is going to be available. And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, the game is available now, so you can go to Oculus Store and download it. So all the traders are gonna defect to Sabbat at this rate. I hope not. That would be a shame. But definitely the V5 Sabbat book is going to be, in my opinion, really nice looking. And I cannot wait to share more about that with you guys. So when it comes to any other V5 books, the only one that we have announced so far from Vampire the Masquerade, except for Sabbat, that is in the works right now, is Second Inquisition. So that is confirmed for sure. And about all the other books, we're going to bring you the news later on. The Children of the Blood, of course, count as well, but they are already kind of out, so I'm not counting them. They're going to be out, available on Drive for RPG very soon. But Sabbat and SI are the ones that are confirmed to be in the works right now, and we're going to bring them to you next. So all the other ones, people are asking about the plenty of different potential V5 books, and we are going to get back to this, and we're going to announce them when there's time. Okay, guys, so that's it. Oh my god, I thought that the stream is going to be very short because I didn't cover other news today and I just focused on Wraith, but here we are, 50 minutes in, talking a lot about Wraith and Vampires, and I think it was fun. I just really want to inspire folks to think about Wraith and Vampire settings as ultimately existing in the same setting and having a lot of the little hints and winks to each other. And yeah, I really think that these two settings work very, very nicely together. As a vampire fan for life, I definitely want to explore more Wraith in my roleplay. And Afterlife is going to be a very good inspiration. So I cannot wait for seeing your opinions and your scares of the game. Let us know how scared you were after you played Afterlife, and we're going to get from there. So guys, I'm going to see you next time, and in the meantime, don't forget to go to, let me just bring you the links actually. I have the links, I'm going to post them below the YouTube video, and I'm going to post them in the chat. And these are the links to Wishlist Afterlife. So even if you don't have the VR set yet, it really helps the developers if you wishlist these games. And if you basically notify them that you would love to play them. It really helps. It helps them to get their games more visible in the stores. So this is something that we really want to encourage folks to do. Let me just paste you guys the links here. Oculus and Steam. If you can add this game to your wish list, if you are interested in this game, it would really mean tons to the developers because really the algorithms very much change depending on how many people wishlist these games, and it really helps the devs. So even if you can't buy the game right now, even if you don't have the VR set right now, wishlist it, and it's going to be helpful for the devs. Thank you so much, Fast Travel Games, for delivering us this game. We are so happy to work with you. And the very first game, hopefully not the last one, the VR game for World of Darkness. And let's see what comes next. If you have any dreams about what next VR settings you would like us to explore, let us know. I would love to know what would you imagine to work well in VR from World of Darkness setting. And we're going to talk about that in our Discord, discord.gg/World of Darkness. I'm going to see you there. In the meantime, see you and don't get lost in the night. Goodbye.